What's up, guys? Connor Goodson coming at you from beautiful Central Arkansas. Went on a little pre-dinner stroll here to give my thoughts on Arkansas basketball's off-season and where things stand right now. It's been a minute since I hopped on here and talked to you guys about where things stand, and funny enough, the messaging is probably not going to be too different. I think we're still very much at the point where there are no answers at the 5 spot. I cannot believe that it's been, 2 or 3 weeks now, maybe even longer than that, since I've hopped on here and did a walk and talk and told you that, man, maybe I even gave y'all assurances that there would be a 5 by the next time that I talk to you guys. If I did that, I'm sorry, because we're now in May and Arkansas still does not have a 5 for next season. And that is obviously frustrating for some folks, and I cannot blame you at all for being in that camp that is really frustrated with the way that the portal has played out. And, some of the extremes of fire John Calipari and, man, I can't wait till this next coach comes, and give me a break. I handled this and went over this last time. Like, if you're calling for John Calipari to move on, it's ridiculous. But I do agree that, obviously some change needs to be made in the way maybe going forward they approach things. I can tell you this for sure. If I had told you guys back in April, March, if I would have told you guys that we would be in May and Arkansas still didn't have a starting center, a guy that they knew that they were going to be able to rely on opening night, if I told you guys that that was the plan, I'd be flat out lying, because I know for a fact that that was not the plan. Now, I do know that the plan was not going to go and spend $5 million on just anyone, but hell, at this point, you kind of wish they would have gone and gotten like a Flory Badunga and Somto Cyril or someone like that and just been done with it, and not have to, test the international waters or bank on a guy like Micah Handlocked from Florida, a guy who I really, really, really like and think would really, really help this Arkansas team. You don't have to bank on him getting a waiver, and that's where we're at right now. We're just kind of waiting and seeing if maybe him or Ewan gets a waiver. I've kind of been told, from people close to Ewan that, hey, that door is not closed. He could definitely come back to Arkansas. But I've been told by Arkansas folks that maybe, if desperate times call for desperate measures, maybe, but who knows? Maybe we're probably done with the Ewan thing. Some mixed signals there. But you're kind of just in a waiting game. And Arkansas has not, especially under Calipari, has not really dipped their toe into the international waters to get a bona fide contributor yet. We saw last year Igor Rizov, I think is how you say it. A guy like him. He obviously was connected to Arkansas. I think he had like visa issues or something like that. And Arkansas kind of pivoted. He then was going to go to Florida State, but those same visa issues kept him from coming over. I think he's like 6'10", 6'11", somewhere in there. He's put on some good weight in the years since, had some really good numbers over in the pro league over there, but he's like the only guy that I can think of that they maybe had penciled in to come over here and be an immediate kind of cog in the machine, if you will. But hey, he's still an option. I don't know what the heck the deal is with his visa right now, but he's a guy that I definitely think that you could look at and potentially bring over. Now, he's more of a stretch, and would probably figure to be more of a 4-man, not really a bruiser or banger or anything like that. But I think right now we got to have a little bit of an open mind, because like I'm saying, the options are very, 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 very thin for Arkansas. All of the top guys in the portal, gone. All of the top options, you know, that you would look at maybe that are talking about going to the NBA draft. Well, you've got a lot of guys that have been projected to be in the draft that are coming back to school, and they've already announced it. So some of those guys towards the end of the draft that maybe we're looking at, well, duh, I'd come back. Those guys are starting to move up a little bit. A guy like Malik Thomas, you get guys like Thomas Houck and the Mullins kid from UConn, you get those guys, they're staying in college. That's not good for the Malik Thomas coming back to Arkansas campaign. As you know, as we've reported, he's wanting a first round guarantee before he you know, decides to come back. And if he doesn't get a first round guarantee, then he's probably coming back to Arkansas. So as guys, you know, pull out of the draft and come back, and especially those in the first round, it's not good for Arkansas if you're trying to get back to Malik Thomas. But kind of went off on a tangent there. But you've got to have an open mind, because the options are so slim right now. And you cannot bank on a guy like Micah Handlogden getting his waiver, because you don't know, one, when the hell they're going to get a decision made on that, and two, does the NCAA even accept his petition to waiver? There's this whole 5 for 5 deal that's also hanging in the balance. I was told by someone in the building that Micah is probably not going to get to play unless they pass this new 5 for 5 deal. So you can't really put all the eggs in that basket. And I think that we're kind of in that weird kind of holding pattern in a way. You know, there's conflicting reports, but man, we could really be here till mid-July before we get another pop for Arkansas, just based on how the pace that things are going with. Normally the lag time between, you know, finding a target overseas and going, setting eyes on them, meeting with them, and then eventually finally getting the deal done and hammering out all the different things that you got to hammer out, the details, cross T's, dot I's. It takes a little bit more time than it does stateside to get all that stuff taken care of. So whatever route they go, it's going to take a minute. So another thing I wanted to talk about, Oena Akezy. He commits to Louisville over Maryland, Arkansas, BYU, Kentucky. We've kind of been all over this over at Hog Sports. I had a really, really good feeling about Arkansas, and for good reason. I know I talked to a lot of people, even guys that, you know, we're supposed to be competitors with, but even guys on the Arkansas beat that I talked to, we all kind of felt good about this. And so when we hear that some people are saying that, hey, Arkansas is not even in the mix anymore, it's Maryland's kind of came out of nowhere. We had really solid reporting and sourcing on Arkansas, feeling good about where they were with the Oena Akezy, especially from after the visit going into the last weekend of visits with Louisville and BYU. But kind of like what happened with the Baba Olatunji recruitment, where Arkansas felt really good, especially after getting him to Fayetteville. Different demands get made, different requests come in. You know, I've detailed some of the sketchy demands and promises that were being made and requests that came in. You know, having to change how some of the NIL money was distributed, and, you know, getting people to hold different positions, and it just, some of this was rumors, some of it, you know, had some good sourcing on it with talking to people. But the main gist of it is Calipari didn't want to play funny He didn't want to play different funny games. He didn't want to have... Sometimes coaches just don't want to play the game, and they don't want to meet demands, and sometimes it's a little too sketchy of a situation. And I think that that's kind of what we ran into here. All of the teams besides Louisville and Maryland were involved there at the end. Some last minute assurances came across, and that's what they were kind of dealing with this weekend. Pops for Louisville, like it was predicted he was supposed to do either Thursday or Friday. Just because Arkansas backed off and wasn't involved at the very end doesn't mean they didn't have a chance or that they didn't really like where they were at one point. And I think that that's where some of this gets misconstrued and some people take it the wrong way, etc., etc. Another name that came up that was really, really interesting to me, that some of you guys really, really were not entertaining the other night, Jordan Burks from UCF. Stretch 4 type guy. Played a little bit at the 3 for UCF this weekend, or this past season. Obviously, Trilly had that report that showed that Arkansas and LSU were trying to get involved. I was told originally, yeah, to watch Arkansas, but there's probably not much there. It would surprise me. I think that's kind of where we're at right now. It would still probably surprise me. But I do think that there is some intrigue with bringing a guy like him in. And it's a lot more intrigue than a lot of you guys were willing to entertain the other night. Man, y'all did not like me bringing up Jordan Burks and his potential fit there the other night on the portal thread. But I get it. Arkansas, where they struggled last year was at the 5 spot, having some physical, bruising big men. And obviously Jordan Burks isn't that. And I think that, I think that if Calipari was going to spend his entire, post-Arizona press conference just gushing over the size, the physicality, the strength that Arizona and Florida and Michigan, those teams, if he was going to spend that press conference going over all that, it's fair to assume that he would go out and go that route and completely, try to mimic that to the best of his ability and go out and get 2 big bruisers and guys that can dish out some physicality, some punishment, can make people pay for trying to bring it inside. It makes sense, and I get it. And I truly think that that was the plan, because obviously we were reporting that Arkansas was going to go out and make Cooper Bowser that 4th man in the rotation, that 4th big in the rotation. Makes a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense to me. So I think that was the plan, but now you kind of got to maybe be a little bit more open-minded with what they can do, because if you're able to go out and get a guy like Jordan Burks, this was the point that I made the other night, Mika Murnin, the commit you just got, takes a little bit of pressure off of him coming in and having to be a starter immediately. It takes a lot of pressure off of him having to come in and contribute. Obviously, he's able to carve out a role probably, but you get a 4-man if Malik Thomas doesn't come back and he stays in the draft. Jordan Burks is instant offense. He's a guy that you can rely on for some outside shooting, spreads the floor, gives you an offensive spark, and you're not forcing it's like he's not a guard, so you're not forcing like a JJ Andrews or an Abdou Toure to play down a position where they're probably not the most comfortable. That's the point that I was trying to make. But obviously, for that to work, you'd still have to go out and get a 5-man. And maybe even go overseas to get a replacement. A guy, an insurance policy type dude at the 5 as well. I don't know if Calipari is willing to do that, but yeah. So that's the point that I was just trying to make. Maybe you got to be a little bit more open-minded with how you're going to finish building this roster. And Jordan Burks, adding him to the 4 spot, having him, Mika Murinen at the 4, and then Cooper Bowser has said that he's probably a little bit more comfortable playing a 5 role. Man, I was talking myself into Micah Handlogden and Jordan Burks at the starting 4 and 5 role, and then you have Murinen and Bowser kind of back them up. I was like, hey, let's go roll out the ball. Sign me up for that immediately. But I don't know. I don't think that that's going to happen just from some of the messaging I've had this afternoon. There's not a ton of smoke there. It could just be like I reported the other night when I even brought his name up after that Trilly report. It sounded more like a guy, an agent trying to get some prices a little bit higher than they are. So if that's not the route, where does Arkansas go now? It's a damn good question. And I wish I had more answers, man. I really, really wish. This has been, and I think I said it last time, this has been one of the more frustrating cycles to cover just because on the personal front, it's a really, really busy time of year. It'd be nice if we weren't, if I could disconnect a little bit more and enjoy my summer, but I think anyone who's on this basketball beat is in for more of a rude awakening this time around. But Arkansas did expect them to at least have somebody by now. And the fact that it's taken us to May, I understand the frustration from folks, and I understand completely. I'm not going to tell you to not be upset. It is frustrating. It's annoying. There's no arguing that. And so my only thing is the minority that say, well, Cal's obviously completely washed. He doesn't deserve to be here anymore. He needs to just retire. And I'm not going to go in the whole spiel that I gave last time, but if that's your stance, give me a break. Like, come on. John Calipari is a Hall of Famer, and what he's able to do in recruiting year to year, you take your chances with that in his approach. You roll the dice that that's going to get you closer to the national championship than anyone else, any of the other realistic options out there right now. That's just, you just have to, because they have the #1 recruiting class in the country right now. I get the 5 spot has been a thorn in his side, and I get that it doesn't look great. It doesn't look promising for them to go out and get a big man that meets the standards that I think we all kind of had in the back of our mind when this thing started. I get that. And you rightfully can be upset with that. But even the roster that they have right this minute is closer to a national championship than I think probably any coach that Arkansas has had, any roster that an Arkansas coach has had since Nolan Richardson was here. That's just facts. We could argue that, obviously some of the Musselman coach teams would have carved Arkansas up on the inside. We can get into the semantics and the nuance of the debate and all that, but the talent, from a pure talent standpoint, it's already going to be one of the more talented rosters, right after Arkansas just had the most talented roster in program history. So the calls for Calipari's head are just ridiculous. But the frustration, I get it. It's warranted. And I would be lying if I said I wasn't frustrated. But here, I know a lot of people in that building that work in the Arkansas offices that are just as frustrated because this is not the plan. This is not how it was supposed to go. And they're working their ass off to try to, you know, get somebody. But it's part of the process. It's part of where things are right now. You just got to roll with the punches at this point, and you've got to trust that there's going to be some options that come up that are good enough for Arkansas to go out and compete for a championship. And I'm willing, based on the last 2 years and the 30 plus years of evidence that Calipari has, I'm betting that it turns out better than we thought at this point, than we think it's going to go at this point. I will not doubt Calipari because, as we've seen, the minute you start doubting Calipari, he goes out and he proves everyone wrong. And that's what he's been doing his whole career. So, call me naive, call me dumb, call me a homer. You can say whatever you want, but I'm going to trust it. And I'm not saying that without any frustration. I've been plenty frustrated with this whole thing. I have. So you can't use that against me, and I've expressed my frustration, but I don't know realistically where they go at the 5 spot. I'm digging through some international options. There's a lot that intrigue me, and a lot that I'm probably going to list out there on Hog Sports that will just get people's hopes up and not be realistic. Man, I don't even know what the heck I've said. I feel like I've just rambled on and gone on another tangent. I think we're at 20 something minutes now. I'll wrap this up in a sec, but I want to say I appreciate everyone that watches, that follows along, and those that understand what we're going through right now. Everyone who covers Arkansas basketball is going through it. I've been going through it. I know my guys JC and Curtis and all those guys have gone through it, just the wild ride. But I appreciate everyone for, you know, following along. The love you gave me on my last walk and talk. The interaction I get on the board, the feedback, the positive feedback, even the negative feedback, it makes us better. But I don't know where Arkansas goes from here, but I do know that I'm going to trust that it plays out, and I really hope that we get something soon. I really think that you wait on Micah Hanlogden. I feel good about his argument. I think that it's a very good argument. I just don't know. You don't know what the NCAA is going to do. But if you can get a guy like that right there, regardless of whatever else they add to this roster, if you're able to get that domino to fall, that's a good option. If you're able to get some of these bigs from overseas that are a little bit more experienced and older, I think that's a really good option as well. I think there's a lot of avenues that Arkansas can go that can make this thing better. We're just going to have to be a lot more patient than I think any one of us thought. And yeah, it doesn't take away from the frustration. You're allowed to feel that way, and I'm with you. So I think that's all I got. I've been yapping for too long here. I don't know what the hell I just said. I hope that this venting session, it makes me feel better. I feel better. I feel good. I don't know how it made y'all feel. Y'all probably disappointed, but if you are, sorry, we'll try again next time. All right, that's what I got. All right, I'm signing off. I've got some fun stuff in the works. I'll definitely try to make it a little bit quicker the next time I come talk to you guys on here, one of these walk and talks. Hopefully we get some news so I have an excuse to come out here and talk to you, but I really appreciate everyone's feedback. And yeah, go follow all my stuff over at hogsports.com, HAWGsports.com. I believe we're running a VIP promotion right now. I'm not sure, but that's how you get access to our portal thread, off-season updates, all the juicy stuff, all the fun interaction, banter, stuff like that. So go sign up over there, hawgsports.com, HAWGsports.com. And I, Connor Goodson, will see you next time. Thanks, guys.